Hi there, Michael.
Hello, David.
Now, Michael, the book you've chosen this month is Greenspan's Bubbles. Did your choice have anything to do with the housing bubble that seems to be collapsing around us?
It certainly does. The subtitle of this book is The Age of Ignorance at the Federal Reserve. And the premise of the book is that Alan Greenspan's 19-year career as Federal Reserve Chairman is worse than anyone ever imagined. Here's a quote. Greenspan bailed out the world's largest equity bubble with the world's largest real estate bubble. That combination easily equates to the biggest orgy of speculation and debt creation that the United States has ever seen.
Well, that sounds rather extreme. Both the tech bubble and the housing bubble are Alan Greenspan's fault?
There is lots of evidence for that in the book. You know, I never read the quotes on the cover of a book because it's usually just fluff that someone has written to promote the book. But I'm going to read two of them today from two people I know. Now, the first one is from Mark Faber, and he writes a money newsletter called the Gloom, Boom, and Doom Report that a lot of serious investors pay a lot of serious money for. Anyway, Faber says, after reading Greenspan's Bubble, you will have no respect for the Federal Reserve. It's a must read. He says the Fed is directly responsible for a colossal destruction of wealth. Now, one more quote I'm going to read from this book, and this one's from Jim Grant. Jim is the editor of Grant's Interest Rate Observer. He's a very respected guy in New York with a very sharp wit. And he says, quote, Greenspan for Mount Rushmore? Not if Bill Fleckenstein has anything to say about it. You know, I read those two because I think both these guys got it right.
Okay, we don't have time for an in-depth explanation, but outline the case the book makes.
Well, by slashing interest rates and keeping them too low for too long and pumping money into the system at the same time, Greenspan created both the tech bubble and the housing bubble. Now, in the markets, they called it the Greenspan put, which means that people believe no matter how much they risked on tech stocks or how much debt they went into on their mortgages, Greenspan would step in with lower interest rates and more liquidity and bail them out. That's the put. Well, people and markets, as a result, lost their fear of investment risk. You know, easy money fueled a stock market bubble, and that popped, and more easy money saved the day, but that caused the real estate frenzy that has now crashed down on us.
Surely the tech bubble was about more than just easy money, though.
Well, the valuations of tech stocks were absolutely crazy, but Greenspan was mesmerized by what he always talked about, you know, the technology-driven productivity increases, always talking up the new economy, whatever that was, and never trying to regulate it or cool it off when it was seriously overheated. You know, a Fed chairman's job is to stop the party when things get out of hand.
And the housing bubble?
Same story. Greenspan praised the financial innovations, you know, in these derivatives and asset-backed securities, the collateralized loan obligations, all that stuff that allowed lending institutions to offer huge mortgages to people who could never afford to pay it back. With unrealistically low interest rates and a tidal wave of federal money flowing, people thought they had nothing to fear, that Greenspan would bail them out.
So what evidence does the author have for these views that you seem to agree with?
Well, there's lots of evidence, and what he relies on mostly are the transcripts of Greenspan's FOMC meetings, the Fed Open Market Committee that sets interest rates. Well, after a number of years, the transcripts of those meetings become public. And Fleckenstein dug into them to see what Greenspan was actually saying, you know, behind closed doors, not just to the TV cameras outside. And he shows that Greenspan didn't seem to know what was happening. And he does this for every economic calamity in Greenspan's 19 years. I mean, there's a stock market crash of '87, the savings and loans crisis, the collapse of long-term capital management, the tech bubble of 2000, the credit bubble and the real estate crisis of 2007.
But Greenspan was known as the maestro, and the business media hung on his every word. His memoirs, The Age of Turbulence, Adventures in a New World, sold very well. So who's right?
History. History will decide. But this book certainly provides evidence that the historians will study.
Okay, Michael, so thumbs up or thumbs down, and I think I can guess.
Two up, 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 up. You know, if you want to understand the boom and bust cycle that we've been going through, this book, nice and concise, will give you some answers, especially if the pain from the Greenspan recession has only just begun.
As always, Michael, thanks a lot.
It's my pleasure, David. See you.